Money is emotional, messy, and complicated, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Debt just doesn't drain your wallet. It drains your confidence, your relationships, and sometimes even your future. Have you ever looked at your bank account and felt just sick to your stomach? Most of us don't have a problem with money. We've got a relationship problem with money, and it's time to fix that. All right, everyone, listen up. You think life's a smooth ride? Think again. From hot takes to vodka breaks, I'm here to serve it straight. No chaser, just a twist of lime. It's time to get real. Pour yourself a skinny bitch and get ready for a vodka lecture. From me, Chrissy Marsh, unfiltered, unapologetic, and straight to the point. Get ready for your weekly shot of reality. Money, money, money. Oh my gosh, how does that make you feel? Well, if that makes you feel uncomfortable, you've got to keep listening. A lot of you might have seen the fantastic lifestyles on the show where we go on holidays, we have amazing homes. Well, this hasn't always been the case. I think your relationship with money is super, super important. And obviously over my lifetime, I've struggled with it. I've been in huge financial debt. You know, I haven't been able to pay off credit cards. I haven't even been able to pay staff, sometimes me. So it's super important that you look at your relationship with money and see in which ways you can improve it. For me, I found that no matter how much money I had or how little money I had, I always made sure I did not waste. I hate waste more than anything. Food waste, buying things like bottles of water when you can just take a bottle from home, all those little things you really need to get a hold of in order to get a hold of your finances. Now, I'm asking you now, are you in debt? Do you know how much debt? This is so, so important, and it's so scary. It's so scary to actually sit down and have that realization. You know, I remember when I was 21 and I had, $3,000 on my credit card, and every month that credit card came in, every month I struggled to pay off the minimum amount. And the problem with that is you are never ever going to get ahead. You're always going to stay in debt, and it's super stressful. Do you fear every time a bill arrives at the house? Do you not want to open your mail because you don't want to face the reality? Well, the more you do that, the worse problems you get. Look, you can even grab a friend to sit down and help you. It doesn't have to be a financial advisor, but you've just got to be able to take stock. And the best way of doing that is just break it all down. Get all your bills in at once, sit them all down. And look, I had a situation where I couldn't pay my phone bill. I couldn't pay my electricity. I couldn't pay my mortgage. So you know what I did? I actually called those people and explained my financial situation. And I think anyone that's out there that has this fear, the more you stay silent, the worse you are. You're better off just confronting it. Call up Telstra, call up Vodafone and say, hey guys, I'm really struggling to pay my bills. Can we work out a payment plan? Is there a better plan I can go on to? Same thing with your electricity bill. Explain to them what's going on, and your bank as well. Your bank will always be understanding. They're the best people to be able to sit down with and have a chat to. And believe it or not, in this day and age, if you go to people and say, I need help, they have to help you, and they will help you. Everyone's gone, long are the days where anyone knows a bank manager. No, you can call them up on the phone and they do have to help you through that financial situation. There really is just 4 things that you can do to get your money situation under control. Everyone says financial freedom, but really this is basic day-to-day living. The 4 things are: realize your situation that you're currently in. Once you know what's coming in, coming out. Second thing is work out some financial goals. Work out how you're going to get out of this mess that you're currently in. Third thing is strategies to stick to those goals and to actually continue to be financially free. Number 4, tips and tricks on how to get creative with your money. So the first step in gaining financial freedom, whether you are 20, whether you are 80, is to sit down and actually understand your situation. Understand what bills you have to pay. It can be as simple as getting out a notepad and pen. You don't need any fancy apps. Just sit down and work out all your debts, from your credit card bills to mortgages to just living day to day. And once you look at your living expenses day to day, I'm sure there's a huge amount of things that you can cut down or cut out. Once you've actually realized that step and you've worked out everything that you owe, then look at money coming in. Once you work out what your money coming in and money going out, it's very simple. If they don't equal, or if they're, a big difference, either way, you're in trouble. So what I think is the best thing, regardless of how little money you have or how much you are struggling, in your mind, even if you're saving $10 a week, Just have a fixed amount that you are trying to save every single week. It can be small, but at least you feel whilst you're struggling through this debt, at least you can feel like you've got something to pay off. If you've got a number of different credit cards, consolidate them all. Go and speak to your bank. See if you can pay off your credit cards, maybe through your mortgage. Look at different avenues. There's always, different, two ways to skin a cat. But super important, just go through the basics and then look at your expenses. Okay, what can I cut down on? I'm not going to buy those bottles of water. Oh, it's only $11 bottle of water. If you go back through, tap and pay, exactly what you spend your money on, so many little things I'm sure you're able to cut out. And I'm not saying, look, you have to give up smoking tomorrow. I'm not saying you have to give up drinking tomorrow, but it might be you cut down on your smoking to save money. It might be that you cut down on your drinking to save money. I know when I was in this really bad financial situation, I reached out to all of the companies that I owed money to and looked at ways of consolidating that debt. I then looked at a plan of how to save money. And look, some nights I did make a can of tuna, go as a meal. And it wasn't a bad meal. It was always a healthy, nutritious meal. It just didn't mean that I was buying takeout. I mean, my kids and my husband and I have always gotten into the habit of always bringing our own lunches to work. And I think that's a way, a sandwich these days is $20. It's ridiculous. So taking something from home is not only healthier, you're saving a ton of money. Setting financial goals. Well, what is a financial goal? A financial goal is basically to get you to a point where it might be a saving goal. It might be just to get yourself out of debt. It might be to pay off a credit card. I don't know your financial situation, so I can't set the goals appropriate to you, but I can give you some guidelines on what I did when I was in a bad financial situation, a huge credit card bill. I couldn't pay my mortgage, and this is what I did. I basically looked at what was coming in, what was coming out. Once I'd worked that out, I needed to pay off my credit card. So for me, the easiest way to do that, rather than paying the minimum monthly amount, which was $120 a month, I would actually try and pay off the principal as well. Sometimes you can consolidate cards and they'll offer you an interest-free period in order to pay off those cards. Really got to get that credit card. It's so easy just to tap away. If you want financial freedom, this is when you've got to say no. I don't need that $11 bottle of water. I'm going to wait till I get home and have a glass. I am so funny about using plastics. I like to hold off. Even if I'm super thirsty, I'll be like, until I get home if I forgot my water bottle. So all those little ways, as soon as your mindset changes and you know your financial goals and you know how to set them, you totally will change. You go, oh, I'm going to order Uber Eats. Actually, no, I'm not. There's some leftover steak from the night before. I'm going to have that with some potatoes. And all of a sudden, your meals, food waste is a huge expense. And everyone's like, well, I can't cut back on food. Well, you can. There's always, items that are on sale at the supermarket. There's, the tin tomatoes that go on sale. I have 3 apps open at a time because I only do my grocery shopping online. And I have 3 different apps. I price compare things that I buy every week. And you think, oh, could you be bothered? Well, yeah, you could be. If it's saving you $2 on a can of tomatoes and that's something that you eat a lot of during the week, savings are really going to start to stack up. And make sure you don't waste. Plan your meals for the week. So that might be a financial goal. Is you might turn around and say, my grocery bill's currently $300 a week. In order for me to pay off an extra $100 of my credit card, I need to be only spending $200 a week on groceries. So all these things you've got to look at and really itemize, really set clear goals. I went over goal setting at the beginning of the year. So go back and listen to that episode and it'll give you some really good tips and tricks for setting those goals. Now, the hardest thing is with money is sticking to them. And the biggest thing you can do is spend 10 minutes a day. I know that sounds ridiculous, 24 hours in a day, and I'm asking you only to spend 10 minutes. 10 minutes on your finances will change your life around. It might be as simple as going in and looking at where you've been spending your money the day before. It might be looking at your credit card and making sure there's nothing on it. It might be making a 10-minute phone call to an insurance company to see if you can get a better deal on your insurance. Every year I do my car insurance and every year I get a discount from the year before because I shop around, and it might take you an extra 10 minutes, But that is going to save you. That's going to get you on, if you start saving $200 on your phone plan a year, you start saving on your insurance, all of these things, health insurance, all of these, you might need a different plan now. You might need all those extras that you had before on your health insurance. All of these start to add up. And if you have that little piece of paper that you've written where you can save, all of a sudden that money can go into your credit card and all of a sudden your debt's going to be paid off a lot faster. And once you have these financial goals, once you stick to these money goals, it feels great. Do you know how sickening it used to make me feel when I could see the mail coming in and I knew those mail was bills and I'd put off opening them because I knew what I was going to find. But the worst thing you could do is put things off. Please, please, please do it now. Just get everything, get it out of the way. It will feel so good. Even if your situation's absolutely diabolical, dire straits, doesn't matter. You know the situation you're in and then you can go and seek help. I had a great story of a girlfriend of mine. She was in her mid-50s, had never really done the finances in the family before, was getting separated from her husband, had made a lot of money over her lifetime, owned an apartment, but all of a sudden found herself in quite a lot of debt, found herself unable to make any money because she didn't have a full-time job and she was in the process of getting separated. So we sat down over coffee and it's as simple as asking the questions, okay, how do you think, is there anything around the house you think you could sell right now in a garage sale? Is there anything you don't need? Can we look at a cheaper renting situation? So we basically broke down everything she was spending money on. And, her rent was one of the biggest things, but then we decided she wasn't going to move because she had 3 kids and the breakup of the marriage and the instability of uprooting the kids at the same time. So we chose not to do that one. We chose to look at ways to save money on food, which was a huge saving. She actually started painting and she's an incredibly successful painter now. Out of that need for money, she was not represented in the art world. She did not, have a formal gallery. And all of these things, whilst we were planning her financial goals and she was getting her financial freedom, all of a sudden she realized that there was this huge passion of hers that had been clouded amongst all this debt. And she really just got to it because once you get that financial strain out of your life, you can really open up your life to better relationships, better friendships, so many, better in the workplace because you're not so stressed the whole time out of your financial situation. So there's plenty of ways to make extra money. I used to, when I had my Monday to Friday job, I was working for Ritz-Carlton Hotels and Hospitality. I obviously got a set wage a week, but after getting myself into some bad financial debt, I would use my weekends. I did a lot of coaching, a lot of mentoring. I also ran like a modeling school, deportment classes. So be creative. Don't let this financial situation that you're in now be your lifelong story. If you can take control of things now, if you can set the goals that you really want to. And look, I know everyone wants to have financial freedom. I know everyone wants to have a great relationship with money. But you know what? It's not easy. It's not easy when you're sitting there with a mountain of debt and you're only making it week by week, And look, I've been there. I've done it. And now my relationship with money is really good. As soon as I'll get into a situation where I mightn't be able to pay something straight away, I'll actually, I'll phone someone up or be very frank with them and let them know that. A great way to stick to your financial goals is write them down, spend 10 minutes a day on them, look at areas that you can save money, especially food. Those, bananas going bad, don't throw them out, stick them in the freezer for a smoothie later on. Track your expenses. There's some great apps around where you can track daily. But looking through your bank accounts, you're going to be able to see areas, that you're spending money on. So really set those clear, defined goals, work at it. It's like a muscle, money. The more you work at it, the more time you put into it, the more you're going to get back and the better you're going to feel. Like that sickly feeling in the stomach. There's nothing worse than coming home every day thinking, how am I going to get through the next day? So creating change in your environment now is going to make you have a fantastic relationship with money going forward. And I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight. It could take you 2, 3, 5 years to get out of debt. And I'm not talking about healthy debt, which is sometimes a mortgage can be. Not all debt is bad. I'm talking about those horrible credit card debt, that fear that when you go to the grocery store, you're not going to be able to, afford that grocery bill. really planning, looking into ways that you can, continually cut down money. And it's an ongoing thing. It's a snowball. Once you start, and it's not, oh my gosh, I'm depriving myself. I have fun. I have fun getting 3 quotes on, any services. And I still do that to this day. I have fun squeezing the end out of my toothpaste, which drives my husband nuts. But most people think it's empty. You can get another 5 cleans out of it. And it's not being tight and being a miser. Every way you can save money means you can spend money on things that you actually want to. It might be a holiday. It might be saving for a house. It might be saving for a special dinner out. So by scrimping and saving in certain areas isn't depriving yourself. It's actually getting in control of your financial situation. And I'm telling you, it feels amazing. So there's no excuses not to start right now, no matter how bad your situation is. Do ask for help. Do call your providers. Do ask for discounts. I mean, I go into any store, and the only store that I don't think offers discounts are the Louis Vuittons and the Chanels. Every other store you walk into, oh, if I buy bulk, do I get a discount? People will give you discounts. I go up to Westfields, half the shops up there will give you discounts. You've just got to ask. And what's the harm in asking? They say no. Stop letting that credit card bounce. Get on top of things. I know you can do it, and I know you're capable of doing it. I know you want to do it. And it is scary. It's bloody scary, but just do it, and do it today. 10 minutes a day will keep the bank manager away. Before we move into our vodka lecture today, I'd like to leave you with something. What would your life look like today if you had a great relationship with money? Take that vision and start working towards it. Okay, we've got a question. I'm getting married soon, and whilst I'm excited, I'm also really anxious about combining finances with my fiance. We've both got different spending habits and have some debt that I'm embarrassed about. I don't want money to become a source of conflict in our marriage, but I don't know where to start or how to bring this up without turning it into an argument. Wow. Okay. So if you're so worried about this and you're about to get married, you have better get onto this ASAP. Worst thing you can do is go into a marriage having secrets, and especially about finances. A lot of people, everyone, horses for courses, people go, oh no, I'd never share my finances. And even when they're married, they still keep things very separate. What happens when kids come along? It's just a constant headache. If you're prepared to commit your life to someone, well then bloody be prepared to commit your finances. It's for good and for bad. Even if you're moving in with, look, if you're initially moving in with someone, then that's different. But you're telling me you're about to marry this person, you've got financial debt on your credit cards that they don't know. Well, just be totally honest. Just come out with it and say, look, talk about these things before you get married. Do you want to share our finances? Do you want to, combine everything? If you do, just so you know, I've got a $10,000 credit card bill that we really need to pay off. And look, there's nothing wrong with that. When Johnny and I first started going out, it was really, really interesting. He used to pay for some things, or try and pay for everything, but I would obviously pay for things as well. We had pretty comparable wages. I owned an apartment. He also owned an apartment. His wasn't as good as mine, though. Mine was worth a lot more. And look, he did have a bit of credit card debt, just saying. He was one that didn't like to open credit card bills and mail and all that sort of thing. Finance is something that I have taught myself to become really good at. So look at the relationship. Say to them, look, are you going to be looking after finances? Am I going to be looking after finances? And we never really cleared that up when we first got married. We always knew we were just going to combine everything because we bought a house before we were married. And we just automatically, I sort of looked after all the finances. So Johnny and I didn't really have things worked out when we first moved in with each other. We obviously knew we had combined finances. We obviously knew the financial situation both of us were in because we had to get a mortgage. And so that was pretty awkward, sort of finding out everything about our financial situations before we were even, engaged, because we bought a house together. So I suppose we moved pretty quickly when we met each other, but we never really worked out each other's financial roles, I suppose. And we really had a lot of fights about it in our first 5 years of marriage. One, obviously, when you're struggling and you're trying to get ahead, when money's really tight, I think you have a lot more arguments about finances, but there were no clear defined roles. And I felt like I was sort of looking after all of, the financial balances without really discussing it fully. So I think really have defined goals on who's going to be doing what. You're going to be paying for the electricity, for this and for that. It might be a combined pool of money, but know who's actually going to be paying it. And I'm telling you, never, ever, ever give up your financial freedom. And I'm not talking about women. I'm talking about men. I'm talking about everyone. It is so important in life to understand what financial situation you are. So many people go, oh, I had no idea, or I don't know how to pay a bill. Look, it's okay if you were born, 80 years ago. But you know what? In this day and age, with the apps and everything with banking, no one has the excuse. It's just, in my mind, education and laziness. So get off your ass, understand your financial situation. Ask your husband how many bank accounts you have. Ask, your wife where this is going and what that money's going to and what this account is for, because it is super, super important that you understand your financial situation. So the fact that you're even worried and he doesn't even know about your debt, well, I don't know how strong your relationship is, and I'd be really questioning that in the first place rather than being questioning about talking about your finances. Because I'm telling you what, once you get into marriage, there's a lot more scarier things than a credit card bill that you're going to have to talk about. So I'd really sort your shit out now, or consider not getting married straight away. Sorry. That's my vodka lecture. Have a good one. We've all been there and done that. You might have a friend right now that you know is in a huge amount of debt. Forward this on to them. Subscribe so you get your shit together in 2025. And if you want your personal vodka lecture, send in your question below. Can't wait to lecture you. See you next week.